How's it going, guys? So, my Wi Fi is out. I had a storm here yesterday. It's been out all day, and probably, I'm hoping by tonight, but if not, into tomorrow. So, these probably won't be up until tomorrow. But let's talk about 2022's VHS 99 that just came out. I've always liked the VHS series. I've only seen the first and second one. I tried watching Viral a few weeks ago when I did the first two VHSs and fell asleep during it. So I don't know if that's a testament to how bad that movie is, because I've heard a lot of bad things over it. And actually, last night, since I had nothing to fucking upload, I was just watching VHS 94, which I never saw either. Ratma. Dude, that first segment is fucking awesome. With the fucking Rat Man. So I definitely will be doing a video on 94 and Viral too eventually, but they're not at the top of my list right now. But let's talk about 99, and we have another one coming next year with VHS 85, I think it was. So we're going back to the 80s with that. And this movie was pretty good. Like, for a VHS film, I pretty much highly enjoyed a lot of the stuff in here. There's some dumb shit, like, absolutely, and there's a lot of moments that I was just lost. Like, with a few of the things in this that I'm just sitting there like, what is going on right now? Like, this is like fucking insane. But for the most part, I enjoyed most of the segments. Like, at least had something in each segment that I enjoyed. Even if it wasn't the whole segment, even if there are things that I didn't like about some of the segments, there was still some good stuff in all of them. So there's a wraparound in this that it's pretty much just some kid like doing stop motion with like army figures, and some of it's funny. Like, some of it landed for me, and some of it was whatever. And there's like a little post credits thing that is like very, very short, and it kind of wraps it around completely at the end. But the wraparound is, it's whatever for this movie. So the first the first segment we have here is Shredding, directed by Maggie Levin, and I know she did an episode of Into the Dark. That's all I really know about her career or anything else that she's done. I know she's a musician, so it kind of makes sense with the segment in here. And we have these kids, and this has been pretty much in all of the VHS films that I've seen, besides Viral, which I haven't seen all the way through. But just annoying, terrible fucking teenagers that are just so obnoxious. It's become pretty much like a staple of this whole franchise. And usually I can deal with it because they kind of portray it like the character, like in VHS 1 with what the hell is it called? With the siren in it, which is like my favorite segment in the VHS film. I gotta be honest though, Ratman came kind of close. In 94 when I was watching it last night, that came pretty close. But in that siren one, they're just despicable human beings. There's so many segments in this franchise that just have despicable characters. So it's not too surprising to see it here. Like, these are just more dickheads, and they have a band, and they end up going to this dilapidated abandoned warehouse or something that a band used to play at, and they ended up getting trampled to death during a show. And now there's like the legend that it's haunted by these band members, and this new band end up going to this location and just being disrespectful fucking assholes, and just everything that they do here. And there's this one kid in the group that is kind of like the odd one out. Like, he's pretty much less dickish, if that works, like, than the other ones. And he kind of doesn't want to be there, and they're scaring the shit out of this kid left and right. And they end up trying to recreate this the stampede that happened on that night with the original band that got killed here. And they have like blow up dolls they brought with them that they fill with fake blood or something, and they start saying like how easy it would be to, let's find out how easy it would be to, trample 4 women. And they start jumping and on these fucking blow up dolls, and the fake blood's coming out, and then they start like fucking around with the blow up doll bodies, and I'm pretty sure that's like supposedly right where the original band got killed, which is fucked up. Like really fucked up. And then they end up getting chased down and eventually fucking murdered by the original band. The effects are great in this. Like it's kind of slow, this segment, to take off, but once it gets to near the end, it has a good payoff. We have great effects work on the old band, on their like zombified corpses, and they end up ripping these new kids to shreds. And I like how they kind of like put the bodies like back in order. Like they take like their body parts and kind of like stack them back into the shape of their bodies. And then they kind of like wear their bodies and they just start playing a new gig. Like, so we get dancing corpses that are wearing the bodies of these dickhead kids and having like a new little gig that they're playing. It's pretty creepy. Like, it's very effective. The effects are great. And I pretty much enjoyed this segment. Like I said, it's a little slow at the beginning, but it pays off in the end. And that is our first segment, Shredding. Then we have the second segment here, Suicide Bid, directed by Johannes? I want to say Johannes Roberts, and I know he directed Strangers Pray at Night, which is a movie I pretty much enjoy. And didn't he also do, I can't think of the fucking name and it's killing me, the two movies, the shark movies. Not Deep Blue Sea, obviously, but like something like that. Like that they're down in the ocean and they're being attacked by a shark or something like. I can't think of the goddamn name. It's pissing me off now. I should have looked it up before I did this video. But Strangers Pray at Night, I enjoy. So seeing this segment, I really enjoyed this segment. It's claustrophobic, and just the whole idea of hazing for sororities or fraternities never appealed to me at all when I was in college. I had no desire to pledge to a fraternity or anything like that. I think it's fucking dumb. I think the hazing that they do it's just fucking bullying. And I've said on the channel before, I cannot stand bullying, and especially when you hear about hazing rituals and stuff for these sororities / fraternities that pretty much lead to deaths or like severe injuries or psychological trauma, and that these people, these poor people that want to fit in so badly, that they're so lonely and they just want friendship so bad that they're willing to do almost anything. So we see this girl at the beginning making her videotape like audition to saying why she would like to be in this sorority, and they end up bringing her to their sorority house and telling them the story of guillotine. I don't know what the fuck that is. What type of name is guillotine? At first I thought they said guillotine. I said, that's even stupider for a name. Then I heard it a few more times. I was, all right, guillotine we're going with. I forget how long ago they said this was. I still don't think guillotine was a name at any point in time in history. So that was kind of fucking weird, just having that name. But there's this whole story about guillotine, who their hazing ritual at the sororities, they have to spend a night buried alive in a coffin overnight. And they tell that guillotine did this, and she disappeared from the coffin. And when they came to like unleash her in the morning, and that it's become like this ghost legend that she got sucked into hell and that she's waiting for other souls to bring down there and play with. And like I said, with the whole hazing thing, this takes it way too fucking far. And just the fact that she goes along with this, like, I mean, I get it. She has no friends. She has her roommate, really, is like her only true friend. But when you have a group of girls that they portray them obviously as just the hottest girls on the campus, and that they're the shit there, and that if you don't get into the sorority, then you're going to be fucked for the rest of your 4 years in college, and all that bullshit. And they end up actually getting her to go into this coffin. And one of them even gives her a box and says, you know, when you're too scared, because if she like, they actually have a dead ringer in here with the bell that you could pull, like if you were buried alive. So they have that in there. So if she gets too scared, she can pull the bell and they'll let her out. But that means she forfeits being in the sorority. And one of the bitches gives her a box and says, if you get too scared, open the box, it'll give you strength. I'll get to that. So this girl actually gets into the coffin willingly and willingly gets buried alive by the sorority here, which you couldn't pay me all the money in the world to get into a coffin. I don't care if they said it was for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, for a minute spent down there. Fuck you. Anything could happen. And we see something happen here. But anything could happen. You're putting your life in the hands of 5 or 6 bitchy sorority girls. You can pay me enough money. And I say all the time that I always go back between what would be worse. Dying by being burned to death, drowning to death, or being buried alive. None of them are great options, obviously. But I don't know, man. After watching this segment, I think I'm going to have to go buried alive. Because at least if you're burning to death, yeah, it fucking sucks and it's terrible and it's going to hurt immensely until you're dead. And the same with drowning, just losing your air and not being able to breathe, which goes against every part of every bodily function. It goes part against your survival. Like, you need to breathe and you're being deprived of that, which is terrifying in its own right. But being buried alive, you have to lay there in a confined space and just wait and wait until there's no more air, until you can no longer breathe. And you know it the whole time, that point is coming. I think it would be a lot worse psychologically getting buried alive and having to just, like I said, lay there and just wait for the inevitable. So I don't know, after watching this, might be buried alive. Might be the worst way to fucking go. More than burning to death, more than drowning, buried alive is where it's at. Or where you don't want to be at, like in that situation. So she gets in, and I like actually with the coffin here, how they have like a crucifix cut out in glass on the front of the coffin, which was a smart idea because you get to see, well, she gets to see from her perspective in the coffin through that glass, and she gets to see the dirt being thrown onto her, and then later on she gets to see guillotine come up and pop up onto the glass and scare the shit out of her. So it was a good move having that glass crucifix there, opposed to just having a completely closed coffin, because then you wouldn't be able to get those cool shots and stuff. So that was a cool little what am I going for? It's fucking early. Addition. That was a cool addition that they had there. And you really feel claustrophobic during this whole segment. Like, just with the way that it's shot and just having the camera in the coffin with her, like, you feel like you're in the coffin with her. And then she opens this box when she's getting ready to ring the bell, and then she's like holding on as much as she can, as long as she can, to not lose her spot in the sorority. And then she opens this box that the bitch upstairs, well, upstairs, but above ground, told her would give you strength. And she opens the box and just spiders fucking come out all over the place. What a cunt. Are you serious? You already have this woman, this poor girl who just wants to have friends and fit in, buried alive. You really needed to add a whole bunch of fucking spiders on top of that and put it in a way that this will help you. So when she's at her weakest point and scared shitless, she's going to open this up and she's going to find all these spiders climbing. And they're not like small spiders. These are decently sized fucking spiders. And she's like going nuts in the coffin and smashing them and smushing them against the coffin. Dude, I couldn't. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to deal with that at all. And then it starts raining, and the security, like university security, show up, and the girls who were waiting up there the whole time and laughing at how she's freaking out down there, and she must be scared shitless and all of that. So security shows up, and one of the girls says, like, if we get caught doing this, we're going to be kicked out of the sorority forever. We're going to get expelled, blah, blah, blah. And we'll come for her later. Now, it's like 9, 10 o'clock. It says on the time code, on the VHS, on the video camera. They don't come back until fucking 6-something a.m. Are you serious? Did you really expect that she would be alright by then? It started raining cats and dogs. It started flooding into the fucking ground, into the coffin, and she almost drowns to death in the coffin while being buried alive. They don't even throw dirt on the fucking coffin, first of all. So it's like they just had her get into this coffin and just leave it completely uncovered so that the rain comes down and just floods the ground and floods into the fucking coffin. And before she's able to drown to death, we have guillotine show up, which the creature effect looked good on her. Like, it's a pretty unique design for guillotine. I can't take that name seriously. Every time I say it, I'm ready to burst into fucking laughter. And she ends up making a deal with Guillotine in order to get revenge on the other sorority girls. So they come back at, like I said, 6-something a.m., which, fuck you. You couldn't have just ran from the cops or the, security, hid, or left and came back an hour later. It's not like the cops are fucking sitting there for hours. You couldn't come back 45 minutes, an hour later, and help this girl out of the coffin. Fuck all of you. Like, every single one of them. And it's a nice little revenge tale because they all get fucked in the end too. So we have them waking up in a whole bunch of coffins, which, where did they get all these coffins? I don't know. Like, I can see them having the one, like, for this hazing ritual, but there's like 5 or 6 of these girls in the sorority, and they're all buried in coffins. So where they got all these fresh coffins from, I have no idea. It's not explained. It really doesn't need to be, but it's a little far-fetched. And they're all freaking out that they woke up in coffins. And then we have the ghost or decomposed body of the main girl come out and crash into one of the coffins and say that she made a deal with Guillotine to bring her more souls to bring down to hell, and they end up all getting brought down to hell by Guillotine, and fuck those sorority girls. Overall, probably my second favorite segment in this. Like, it's, like I said, very, very well done with the claustrophobic feeling, with just feeling like you're inside this coffin, and yeah, like, very, very effective with all of that. So let's move on to the third segment here, Ozzy's Dungeon, directed by Flying Lotus, which I don't know anything film-wise that he's done, but I know he's a drum and bass, like, producer and, like, music composer. I've actually seen Flying Lotus live a few times because a few jam bands that I'm into would play at electronic festivals and stuff like that, and they would have, like, dubstep and drum and bass musicians and DJs and stuff there. And Flying Lotus was a pretty big name back maybe 10 years ago or so, like, in that whole scene of drum and bass music and everything. So I know Flying Lotus from that. Besides that, I have no idea what he's done career-wise in film, and I don't know, after this segment, I really don't care much. There's still stuff in this segment that I enjoyed, but this shit just goes off the rails, like, real kind of fast. And so we have this weird game show that kind of reminded me of Legends of the Hidden Temple, which, if you were a 90s kid, I'm sure you remember that on Nickelodeon, fucking Legends of the Hidden Temple. I used to fucking love that show. I used to always want to be on that show and go through that whole fucking obstacle course, and I would have won. Like, I know I would have. Like, some of the people and kids that were on that show were fucking morons, like, that they couldn't get through this whole obstacle course. And it was such a cool obstacle course in that show. Like, even if no one watching knows what the fuck I'm talking about. What a great fucking game show that was, like, as a kid growing up. But this game show is just ridiculous. Like, they mentioned this, we have this game show host who's a complete asshole, who, there's some dark comedy in this, and kind of works, kind of doesn't. It all really depends on, like, what it is, but most of it didn't really land for me much. But we have this obstacle course that he says no kid has ever gotten through, which I think is ridiculous, because this is like the most simplistic obstacle course ever. Like, and I say, I was thinking about this before I did the video, about like thinking about how crazy these fucking kids are and stuff in this whole franchise. I say I can be hyperbolic a little bit on the channel, like when I say like these kids are the worst kids ever and stuff. I've said that in probably like fucking 20, 25, 30 different videos. So like that type of hyperbole, like I can throw in every now and then, but most of the time I'm not being hyperbolic on this channel. But like if I am, I'll mention that I am. But anytime I say like these are like the worst kids ever, or this is the most incompetent police force ever, and stuff like that, that's me being hyperbolic. But this fucking obstacle course, no hyperbolic, no, not being hyperbolic, is like the easiest obstacle course ever. They just have to grab a flag, go down a slide into like a pool and grab like another red flag, crawl through a tunnel, and that's like it. Like that's the whole fucking obstacle course here. And they have the two contestants that are going through this. We have this black girl and we have this other guy, and they're making it through the obstacle course. And while they're in the tunnel, she ends up getting her leg broken, like with the bone sticking out. Like I don't even know how her leg got fucked up that bad, but it did. And she doesn't get through this obstacle course, obviously. And then the game show host pretty much like rubs it in their face, pretty much. Saying that like the show must go on and like nobody's ever won this, and here's another example. So they don't win, and the winner of this obstacle course gets like it's like a fucking evil Make-A-Wish Foundation. Like they get to like have a wish granted, and because of what happens to the girl here with her leg, next we cut to, and this is where it all falls apart for me. They have the family of this girl, who's from Detroit, I think they mentioned. And they mentioned, like the game show host mentioned that he makes like a dark joke that they drove all the way down to the show from Detroit, and says like, oh, you couldn't afford a plane ticket? So like, I guess he's implying they're poor, which I'll get to in a second, why I even brought that up. But we find out that the family, including like the sadistic mother here, kidnaps this game show host and ends up forcing him to go through a similar simplistic fucking obstacle course, but much more disgusting. Like they have fucking human shit in it that he has to wade through, and like the mom is threatening him with acid, of pouring acid on his face, and he ends up going through the obstacle course and getting through it, and she ends up saying like, you were a few seconds too late. And she's ready to fucking kill him and pour acid all over him, and he kind of bargains for his life and says that he can get her wish granted. And she shows her leg before he goes through the obstacle course. And it is so fucked up. Like her leg is like gangrenous and like black and gray and green, and like this bitch should be dead. Like far dead. Like further than dead from the infection that it looks on her leg. So I don't know if that whole line of them not being able to afford a plane ticket and afford a plane down to the game show and they had to drive, hinting that they're poor, has to do with why they never got medical attention for her leg. But she would still be fucking dead. There's no way that this girl's living with how fucked up her leg is, like at all. And this game show wouldn't cover the costs, even if they were that poor and they couldn't afford to take her to a doctor or a hospital or anything. Which, you go to a hospital, at least here in New York, they must treat you like they have to, whether you have insurance or not. Like, they have to treat you. So the whole reason she didn't go to a hospital is ridiculous. But the whole fact that they might be poor, and that's why she didn't get help for her leg, there is no way that this game show did not cover the cost for her injury, first of all, and compensate them heavily. And then, just besides all that ridiculousness, then they end up, like I said, he bargains for his life, and they end up driving to the studio for the game show. So if they live in Detroit, which they said, I'm guessing this is their house in Detroit. So you don't really set up like an evil, murderous obstacle course in a place that you're planning to kill somebody just randomly, like in some random place. So I'm guessing this is their house in Detroit. So they had to drive all the way back to where this game show was hosted from Detroit. And they pull up, and he's saying that they beefed up security because the show went out of business. So they pull up to this building, and there's 2 guards with fucking machine guns. And they don't see this car at all. They don't notice that this car pulls up. And they end up saying, oh, well, they beefed up security here. We're going to have to go around the back. All right. And this is so fucking stupid. This whole segment is kind of just really bad. Like, Flying Lotus, stick to fucking music, because film is really not your thing just from this whole segment. But they go around the back, and they enter this cave that the host says he's never been past these doors, and it's like an actual like cavern, like an actual cave. And they walk in there, and we see this deformed looking creature, which I guess is Ozzy, who this show is Ozzy's Dungeon, so I'm guessing this is the titular Ozzy, and looks just like the beginning of the scene in The Thing, like my favorite fucking scene of all time in film, when the body's fucking shaking and stuff, and then it comes bursting out of a chest hole and stuff. Like, same exact, pretty much, like, shot. Like, there's just a slit in this Ozzy's stomach, and he starts, like, rumbling, and then, like, it just something shoots out of him. Looks just like The Thing, and kind of pissed me off. That it was so blatantly, like, stolen from, like, The Thing. Like, it looks just like it. And she ends up making her wish, the young girl with the fucked up leg, and Ozzy starts like shooting lasers or some shit or acid at her parents, and we get her grin at the end, showing that her wish that she had was to kill her parents. I don't know, man. I really don't know. Like, this was like the biggest, like, what the fuck of this whole movie for me. I was just completely lost, had no idea where this is going. Like, the beginning with the whole game show and stuff could have been cool if they went a completely different direction with it. But as soon as they got to the family's house and had him going through the whole obstacle course they set up, and the whole what the fuck ending and stuff, completely lost me. The worst segment in this movie by far. So let's move on to a better one, which is just slightly better. I mean, at least there's nothing fucking ridiculous in this one. But The Gawkers, directed by Tyler McIntyre, and only thing I really know of this person is Patchwork, which was it 2015, 14, something like that. So Patchwork's a great movie if anyone hasn't seen that. But we have these group of kids, which, yeah, they are very realistic towards like young kids, and how they have this gorgeous neighbor that moves in, and they're constantly looking out their window and watching her and filming her, and they're just trying to get, you know, like any adolescent kids and stuff, they're trying to get peeps at some beautiful woman, which is fucked up. Like, I can see, like, just, you know, looking at her and stuff, but you start fucking filming her, and that's where it crosses the line. And they end up getting the younger brother who knows her, who's on like a first name basis with this chick, to go over to her house because he was planning to help her with something, and he brings spyware with him to install on her computer so that they can like hack into her computer and through her video feed, which in 1999, I don't know. Like, if any of this fucking makes sense. Like, I remember 1999 pretty well, and the internet. There was no technology like this, or close to how they portray it. Like, sure, there was webcams and stuff like that, but being able to hack into someone's fucking webcam, like from across the street, like with spyware, it's a little fucking far-fetched, and I really don't think that was possible back then. But there's not a lot to say about this segment, but even though they are portrayed as, like, pretty genuinely well as adolescent dickheads, this was so grating for me to get through most of this segment. Like, this is where it hit the line for me of, in the past VHS films, like I said, we have a lot of dickhead characters and just despicable human beings. I can deal with most of that and just write it off as, all right, these are complete assholes. This one, I was cringing the whole time, pretty much, just from the dialogue between the friends, and just the way that they talk and the way that they're going on about this woman and wanting to fuck this girl, and everything about them was just fucking cringeworthy for me. And it was so hard to get through this segment at the beginning. But it ends strong, and it ends with him installing the spyware on her computer, and they get to see her undress and see her tits and everything, and then things go wrong, and she rips her hair off, and fucking snakes start coming out of her head, and she turns into Medusa, basically, which I can't think of a single horror movie. I don't want to say I've never seen one, because, I mean, of all the fucking films I've seen in my life, I'm sure I might have seen it somewhere. I can't remember, though. But I really can't recall a movie with Medusa in it, in a horror movie. So it was really cool, actually, to see that. And she ends up coming over across the street to their house and starts turning them all to stone by looking at them. And the design of her is great. Like the snakes in her hair, her hair as snakes and everything, and the noises she's making. Really cool creature design. I just wish that I didn't have to sit through cringeworthy fucking dialogue for like the majority of the segment, which it just killed the segment for me. Once I got to that part near the end, which is literally like the last 3 minutes of the whole thing with Medusa, is great. I wish they did something better with this, and I would love to see Medusa in a horror film. So, like, anyone out there, producers, directors, whoever see this, get on a Medusa horror film, because that would be interesting to see. Then we have the fifth and final segment, To Hell and Back, which is by far the best in this fucking movie, and one of my favorite segments now in this whole franchise. And it's not a surprise that it's directed by Joseph and Vanessa Winter, who directed and Joseph acted in Deadstream, which I did a short little video on, a short spoiler-free review, which I feel like I didn't even do that film justice. And I feel like I actually rewatched it last night. As I said, I had nothing better to do. So I couldn't make video. I could have made the videos and stuff, but like, I couldn't upload anything. I missed a stream with Mike. I missed a stream this morning, or about to, like, with Al. So I'm pissed about that because of my Wi-Fi. But I watched Deadstream again after I watched VHS 99. I'll talk more on Deadstream at the end. I'll throw on some more Deadstream talk at the end of this. So we have the same directors here. I don't know if they're their husband and wife or their brother and sister, but Jesus, man. These are like the best, or in the top list for me, of upcoming directors in horror right now. After seeing Deadstream, and then after seeing their segment in this, I cannot wait to see what they do next. Like 100%. Like, these people have such a great, just have such a great feel for comedy and horror, and mixing the two together so seamlessly that it's fucking mind-blowing. And upon rewatching, I'll save Deadstream. I keep wanting to jump more into Deadstream since I rewatched it. And so we have To Hell and Back, and basically we have this witch coven, and they're trying to, and playing into the whole 90s and 99 theme of this whole film. They are trying to transfer a demon called Ubacan or something like that, some weird fucking name, into a vessel, into this woman who pretty much volunteered for this. And at the stroke of midnight, when it turns 2000, when the veil is at its thinnest, as they say, they're gonna try to bring Ubacan or whatever the fuck into this surrogate vessel and bring him from hell. And they start this whole ritual, and they have Joseph Winter, the director, who is pretty much behind the camera the whole time, which makes sense because I'm sure he wanted to direct the whole thing. So we don't really see him, which is a shame because he did such a great performance in Deadstream. And his buddy, they both get sucked into hell by like some other demon who they ended up accidentally conjuring, and this demon brings them into hell. And I can't think of many other movies, horror films, that take place in hell. That like take place in it looks great, man. Like it really does. Like it's just like this barren land with just red sand everywhere and rocks, and it just looks so fucking evil. It looks like what hell would be in a way. And we get some great shots in here. Like there's a few shots of lightning and stuff, like red lightning shooting down, and we get this shot of like the lightning coming and it lights up the background, and we have like this huge fucking devil basically. It looks just like what you would think the devil looks like. Fucking with wings and horns and shit, but it looks so good. Like what a great shot that is. And the two of them are trying to get out of hell. And they realize that they have only a few minutes, like 10 minutes or so, until it's midnight, and the Witch Coven is going to be summoning Akaban, or fuck you, whatever you want to name it, back to, from hell into the real world. So they want to hitch a ride on Akaban, I'm just going to keep calling it that, and get back into reality and away from hell. So they end up meeting this girl, Mabel, who does such a great fucking job in this, and she's the same girl from Deadstream who played Mildred, the main ghost in that movie. And she does another phenomenal job in this. She sounds like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, like just with, oh, you came down here. That's a terrible fucking Gollum impression. But she like acts like Gollum at first, and she's like some type of demon that's been down there for who knows how long in hell, and she wants them, in exchange for helping them get to Akaban and hitch a ride out of hell, she wants them to write her name, Mabel, in the witch's book, so that she would be the next one that they worship or try to summon out of hell. And there's a decent amount of comedy in here that works so fucking well. And there's so many great effects and creature designs in here that work so well and look so good. And the whole landscape and atmosphere is so effective. It's fucking amazing. This whole segment is absolutely amazing. And like I said, from after this and fucking Deadstream, I'm going to be looking at everything these people do. The Winters, because they are on a fucking roll, man. And for both movies to come out right near Halloween, well, this movie with their segment and Deadstream, man, they are fucking killing it. And then they end up getting to Akaban's chamber, and they end up trying to hitch a ride on him, and right when at the stroke of midnight, and they end up coming back to reality, but there's like a body switch, and one of the friends is in the vessel's body, and she ends up getting stabbed and killed, and then the other one ends up dying, and right before he ends up actually dying, he ends up writing Mabel's name in his blood in the book. So now we have, I guess, Mabel is the next demon or whatever that they're going to try to resurrect from hell and that they're going to worship. Awesome segment, man. And let's talk a little about Deadstream, since I do feel like I did not do it justice, which I felt like when in that little short spoiler review that it would be very hard to talk about that film, especially with just all the craziness that goes on in there. But upon rewatching it, best found footage film of the year. I said it was in my top 3 or so, like on the first watch. Second watch, best of the year. One of the best found footage films I've seen in fucking years. Like, that's how great this movie was. And just Joseph's performance in this movie is fucking amazing. Like, just how he can play this character that has so much charisma to him and so much charm to him, but yet he could still play it off as like he's kind of a disgraced figure, that had this YouTube channel and got demonetized, and him going to, and I think I said Dead Manor in the review. It's Death Manor. I think I was thinking of Deadly Manor, the fucking old slasher film that nobody's really seen from the late 80s, which is a terrible fucking movie, so I don't know why I thought of that. But Death Manor is what the house is called. And just his performance carries the whole movie. And just everything in this film is so masterfully done. And like, I don't know if they did anything before this movie. Like, I never heard of them, the directors, before this. But man, did they kill it with Deadstream. And just the mix of comedy and horror in that movie is perfect. Like, absolutely perfect. When it's comedic, it absolutely lands every single time. When it's back to horror, it's fucking creepy, it's scary, the atmosphere is brilliant every fucking time. And just the way they switch back and forth between the comedy, between the horror, is excellent in that movie. And man, like, just check out Deadstream. I don't want to go off too long because this is already a long fucking video, but if you haven't seen Deadstream, if you didn't see my short little spoiler-free review on it, what the fuck are you waiting for? Get on Shudder and watch Deadstream. Like, literally the best found footage film of the year. And like I said, the last, I don't even know how many years, best found footage movie. Like, just the perfect blend of comedy, horror, found footage, and even just with the live stream chat that's coming up. But it's not annoying as shit because it's not there the whole time. You're not looking at comments strolling, streaming up and down the screen the entire time. Like, just everything they do in that film is just masterful. And just to be able to pull that off as like I said, I don't know if they've done anything in the past, but like a first major film of theirs is unbelievable. And then having this segment at the end of VHS 99. 2 things in a row, fucking A++ for both of them. So I cannot wait to see what Joseph and Vanessa Winters do next, for sure. But that's VHS 99 with a little bit of Deadstream talk at the end. And I will be moving on with the rest of the Halloween franchise. I am doing Halloween 6, which I'm up to, the theatrical cut, and the producer's cut. So I can compare both of them. It's been a while since I've seen the producer's cut. And that's definitely going to be interesting, watching the producer's cut. And H2O and Resurrection probably right after that. That'll just leave zombie stuff in 2018 and Halloween Kills, which I said I'm not doing a fucking video on Ends. There's a whole live stream on it with me and Mike talking about it. I've said this a few times. I'm getting tired of saying it. So I'm just not going to talk about Halloween Ends ever again. And all right, guys, wherever you're from, hope you're having a good day, good night, and I will have these videos up as soon as I can once my Wi-Fi is back working, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.